I didn't flinch when the judge called my name. No reaction, no blink, no smile. I stood up, buttoned my coat, and walked to the bench while my wife's entire family turned pale. "Would you mind taking over?" the judge asked, voice calm. "This case is out of my jurisdiction." You could have heard a pin drop. The silence was sharp enough to split stone. Alana, my sister-in-law, looked like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. She wasn't used to me mattering. "Let me take you back. I married into a family that polished every sentence and laughed too hard at things that weren't funny. They never outright insulted me, but I always felt it, in how they introduced me as Rachel's husband, never by name. Back then, I was a federal defense attorney. High-stakes cases, real pressure. But to them, I was just a dull man in an off-the-rack suit, forgettable and silent. My father-in-law treated my insights like child's play. Rachel's mother once asked if I'd thought about a real profession, like real estate. Even Rachel, God bless her, used to excuse my quietness like it was a social flaw. But I stayed silent. I loved my wife. I thought self-respect didn't need volume. I believed truth always finds its way. Then I discovered the truth about Alana. It started on Thanksgiving. She showed up late, a little drunk and drunker on her own ego. Claimed she was consulting for a pharmaceutical firm, flashing her phone like it was proof of success. But I saw the name pop up. I knew the case. That company was under investigation for laundering research grants through a dummy corporation, using her credentials to make it all look legit. What she didn't know, I was part of the task force assigned to expose them. They had no idea I was still practicing law. They thought I'd faded into irrelevance. That night I smiled, a cold, careful smile, and started building my case. For 3 months I worked silently. I traced documents, forged digital leaks to bait her, tracked emails and locations. I even used a burner phone to deliver anonymous tips. Alana was reckless. She thought her last name made her untouchable. She was wrong. When the indictment landed, Rachel's family scrambled. Suddenly, I wasn't just Rachel's husband. I was being invited to dinners, asked for advice, called by name. I smiled and reminded them. I was just the in-law, remember? The trial came quickly. Federal court. 3 wire fraud charges. 2 counts of conspiracy. 1 very angry prosecutor. Alana tried to cut a deal, but I'd made sure any terms were dead ends. I wasn't after leniency. I wanted silence, the kind that only follows total collapse. I sat quietly at every hearing, second row, watching Alana squirm, watching her parents shrink behind their grief and shame. Then today happened. The judge stopped mid-session, reviewing something from his folder. Then he looked at me. "Mr. Keene," he said. I stood. A ripple went through the courtroom. "We need you to proceed. Your experience is necessary." I walked to the front. Alana's lips moved. "What the hell?" Her lawyer leaned in, whispering frantically. I opened the file. Every piece of evidence I had uncovered was there. Signed documents, flagged emails, financial trails, all leading back to her. No need to raise my voice. I let the truth speak for itself. When I finished, I turned to her parents. "Unfortunately," I said calmly, "fraud at this scale demands accountability." Rachel wasn't there. She had left a month before the trial began. Packed in the night after I showed her the transfers her sister had sent using her identity. No fight, no tears. Just silence. And then she was gone. Smartest thing she ever did. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on every charge. No plea deal. No bail. Alana screamed. Her mother collapsed. Her father stood frozen, mouth open, as if hoping this was a bad dream. It wasn't. I left before the sentencing. I didn't need to hear how many years she'd get. The justice had already landed when the judge said my name. They used to think I was a nobody. A quiet, forgettable man in the background. But people like me, we're never really in the background. We're watching, waiting. And when the time is right, we move. And we don't miss. I'm not bitter. Not broken. I'm finally free. Let them spin their version of the story now. Let them say I was the quiet in-law who dismantled a dynasty with nothing but patience and truth. I don't want applause. I just want silence. That's how you know the story is over.